Namaskar. My name is Tariq Khan. I am working as the officer in charge of the National Translation Mission, and today I am at the Karnataka State Higher Education Council. I take this opportunity to talk about translation, which is a very important activity, and it has been associated with the mankind for a very long time. It would not be wrong to say that human beings have been engaging with translation for as long as they have been using languages, because there was never a time when humans spoke only one language. They spoke several languages, and that is why they have been translating always. But there is a difference. That form of translation which functions mostly in oral and oral form is called interpretation. So it would be right to say that humans have been interpreting for a very long time, and translation comes into picture when humans started learning to read and write. It is also important to understand translation as an activity that brings together people, creates understanding among people, makes us know different cultures, and in doing so, it is rightly said an activity that brings together people, creates harmony at the social and cultural level, and it's an exercise in nation building. If we look at the amount of knowledge that we have, we will be very surprised to note that there is a vast amount of knowledge that humans have gained, and this knowledge would not have been possible if translation was not there. Translation has enabled human beings to gain knowledge from various parts of the world, across different generations, across different eras, and this has been possible because translation has played its role. Translation also has been important in making people understand each other's culture and live in harmony. It is also an activity that is slowly getting formalized, and there are formal studies of translation called translation studies. Now it is being studied scientifically to understand what goes in a bilingual person's brain when he or she is translating. Human beings are largely on this earth. A majority of them are bilingual, and less number of people are monolingual. And those who are bilingual engage in some kind of translation or the other. It is not very appropriate to say that every bilingual person would be a translator, but then translation activities come very natural to them. What are these activities? There are several aspects to it. Translation activities include translation when writing and reading is involved, when written and printed materials are involved. It also involves activities like transliteration. You recall the communications that you have on WhatsApp or social media, where you have the freedom to spell the things the way you want, and you use Roman script to even when you're using your own language. So you use an Indian language and write that in Roman script. What you are doing basically is transliteration, and you have the freedom of using the spelling as far as the communication is clear. Then there are other forms like transcription, where there is a systematic display of the content using a particular script and scheme of representation. And translation is there. Interpretation I have already mentioned. There are other activities also which are essentially part of this umbrella term called translation. Things like dubbing, subtitling, they are essentially part of it. Adaptation, where the form changes, like you read a novel and then convert it into a play, or you watch a movie and write a novel based on that. So all these activities are within the purview of translation. It's a fantastic exercise. I must like to emphasize on one fact, that is the national education policy has given very true emphasis on translation, and it looks like the envisaged goals of the national education policy can be achieved if due focus is given on translation. With that, we are likely to create a lot of knowledge that was not available to a larger masses, because that was available in one language or that was available to a particular group. Now all that can be possible, that will be available to everyone through translation, and education in the language of the people would also be possible through translation. These are all activities very relevant to translation, and there is a lot that can be discussed, but thank you for the time being. Namaskar.